And welcome back, everybody. Kind of got surprised here. They rolled cars just a little bit earlier than we were anticipating, so we're with you about 10 minutes sooner. Hope you're near your computer, your smartphone, whatever, and are hearing that we are back with you. But the GTS field is out on its installation lap. This should be an interesting race we're going to watch unfold here.
Yeah, it should be a fun one, Greg.
Yeah.
At the front of the field, the times were very close in qualifying, so that should bode well for a big one this afternoon. And a few surprises. Championship leader Lawson Aschenbach, 10th on the grid. Ian James, who's won 3 of the last 4 events here in GTS competition, in 7th. So they're veterans, they're savvy, they're canny. How do they get to the front with that?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fun one to watch. And the interesting thing to me is going to be how they manage that. As we said, I mean, you know, we talk about Lawson Aschenbach down in 10th and Tony at the very back of the field, and both of them front runners in their respective classes all season long. And they've got work cut out for them here. But I'll tell you, what impresses me is the pace we're seeing from the Flying Lizard Porsches here.
Yeah, they've really been working hard on that setup and seem to have found a nice place. Spoke to Jim Bell yesterday, who engineers that car for Rodrigo Baptista, and he said, a little bit confused. He said, I'm scratching my head. We certainly got some oversteer in the car that we didn't anticipate. But even so, they dialed it in, as you do over the course of a weekend. And Rodrigo's one of those talents. I think he was very special. We saw him get too aggressive at Mid-Ohio and learned some lessons there in terms of being sat down for the remainder of the first race there after an incident. But even so, his sheer speed and ability is very impressive this year.
Yeah, there's no doubting that at all. And he's been really, he's a guy with some very, very good raw speed. And I think, you know, he's young enough that racecraft is going to be interesting. Drew Staveley on the outside there in that white and gray with the orange highlights, Janetta, started the season as a GTSA driver, and they have realized here, no, he's a pro category driver, so they moved him up to the pro ranks. And Martin Barkey, they really are happy with how that new BOP approach is working on that car, especially here.
Yeah, essentially giving that crossbow a little bit more straightaway speed and a bit more weight to deal with through the corners.
And here we go again. This is a 50-minute sprint race. We are about to get after it here at Utah Motorsports Campus. The Cadillac ATS VR safety vehicle down into pit lane, and the field coming up, looking at a green flag to go racing, and it flies. We are racing in Utah in GTS.
Big jump there from Courtney. He looks to the
out.
inside.
Yeah.
4 abreast here down this front straightaway. Nate Stacey flicks to the right. Jason Bell in the middle of this mix. Ian James, a nice start there.
What a start by Courtney, if he can make it stick.
Oh, look at that, Baptista flies through turn 1. Stacey is a Flying Lizard 1-2 right now.
What a run by Nate. Who's that off? I think that may have been Keith Jensen in the NOLA Sport Porsche, who's shown some impressive speed.
Really has. Look at Barkey, he's putting the pressure on Nate Stacey. Courtney, a nice start there. James is up to 6. Not much of an impression by Lawson Aschenbach, our championship leader so far. There he is, looking for a way. I think that's Kurtz right in front of him.
I think you're absolutely right.
James dives to the inside on Staveley.
See if he's able to make that work down into Black Rock. Does he get through?
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. It looked like he did, and then it was actually the Maserati of Courtney that Staveley's now attacking.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there as we switch pitches momentarily. What a start for Nate Stacey.
He needed that.
He does. He's gaining confidence. The team is happy with his progress.
You know, he's kind of like Alec Udell was in World Challenge for a while. He's been racing it so long, you forget he's, what, just 17?
Right.
You know, I mean, and he's still got that racecraft to learn.
Courtney got it really wrong there on the entry to the attitudes. Had to just calm it down to not run over the track limit violation issue there. Searching for grip. Baptista. Oh, look at Ian James. He's looking to the inside as we see Kurtz there drop a wheel on the exit of Tuella.
James got it done, gets around Staveley. Does Staveley look for a minute like he might think about just trying to stuff it down to the inside of windup, and James covered that beautifully. Now he's going to start to go to work on Courtney in that white, black, and orange Maserati onto the front straight. And there is Aschenbach trying to figure out a way right now around Jensen.
Yeah, he's moved up a couple of spots over the course of the first lap, so from 10th on the grid to 8th for our championship leader. Not impossible for Lawson Aschenbach to clinch this championship this weekend, but he'd need to score the big points, which certainly right now he's not in with a shout of, and he'd need Ian James to have a bad weekend.
Yeah, Lawson ended up qualifying 10th overall. He's up to the 8th spot right now. Tony Gables had a great opening lap too. He was at the very back of the field, and he's moved up 4 spots up into the 14th spot. There is your point leader, Lawson Aschenbach, in the Black Dog Speed Shop. Camaro GT4. Barkey taking a look at Stacy in the Black Rock.
Can he keep it together? Yes, he does. Nice job by Martin Barkey. Really enjoying his racing this year. They're doing a great job with the car, and the whole team is working excellently. The Mantella Autosport group.
Yeah, when they changed the approach in the BOP, where they ended up giving him more power and just packing on a lot more weight, he said it changed how the car works under braking, it changed the mid-corner, it changed all of that. He said, but the power made it racier. He said, I just had to adjust my braking points and just kind of learn what this weight was going to do, and he's adapted quickly.
Yeah, that's a great point, Greg. You get used to kind of attacking corners in a certain way all season long, and suddenly the car's just going to give up on you. You're going to abuse the tires, get tire degradation, so there's a learning curve with this, but the dynamic looks much better, because that was kind of out on its own island in terms of how it compared with the other cars in this category.
Yeah, absolutely. And when he was on a free lap, it was just wicked quick. But the minute he got in any kind of traffic, this was a track they were looking forward to anyway. You remember last year, Anthony Mantella, this was the first race, one of the Crossbows won, that when it didn't start on pole, he was able to actually come up and race. So they said, with this new approach, we might be able to shout here.
Yeah, Anthony did a superb job. Shame he's not in the championship currently, but he did a superb job here last year, getting his first championship victory. So James is working over on Courtney right now. Some changes within the various marks here coming in, BOP-wise, balance of performance. I know we talk about it a lot, but it can really be a game changer. So certainly the Avezzano, the Panos, is not quite as sharp as it was in previous rounds.
And we've talked about it quite a bit, obviously, that the Maserati of Courtney does not have ABS, so he's got to be a little bit more careful on the brakes and the like, and has done a superb job with it this year. We're looking here at Mark Clennon in the 62 Tenderbelly McLaren, and he is your Optima Batteries best start winner, moving up a number of spots in that opening lap, doing a nice job. 3 spots overall, and that's in the opening lap. There's also the VP Racing Fuels Harch. Ooh, just saw Courtney lock up in front of us going into Black Rock, so that's what I was talking about. But Clennon, he has shown some exceptional speed, and I just happened to run into his crew on the way after a quick walk after the last race, and they said he had a paddle shift problem in qualifying, and that's why he was so far back. And they said, if we got it fixed, the car's fast here. Just look what Kurtz was doing. Yeah,
absolutely. The McLarens have shown a lot of speed here. Good straightaway speed, which is always an asset to have in terms of racing. Barkey's kind of gapped Nate Stacey here over the last couple of laps. And that's dropping that Stacey back into the battle here between Courtney and James.
And I think that Staveley is going to have something more to play in this as the race unfolds here, that lightweight quick Ginetta.
Yeah, it's a shame he got shuffled back so far in the early going. Obviously, the local team has great track knowledge and a good setup with that car. And he was so close to the pole, just a few hundreds off. Gave it a last gasp effort and nearly grabbed the pole position.
The interesting thing, if you're watching on scoring, you see Aschenbach is shown 7th in the GTS category, 8th overall. But the thing is, points are scored for the GTS overall guys, where they finish overall, not in class. So he's essentially 8th right now in terms of that run. And believing the team's going to be very aware of that. You see him at the back there, shoulder nose, trying to figure out a way by Jensen, as the Avezzano GT of James looks to the inside of Courtney and then tucks right back. Ooh, Courtney floats
a little bit wide there, Tell you what, that Panos has looked really strong the last few events, Greg. They've really got a great team there working under the guidance of Tom Milner. So much success in motorsports over the last few decades, but really quality personnel, great engineering staff, and Ian's a great guiding force for that whole group. He's very calm, he's got a lot of experience, gets the job done behind the wheel as well, but he's really tagged. Oh, look at that, you talked about the ABS there. Courtney's still struggling there. James went to his flank to the right, which is probably going to create an issue because Courtney's probably going to wash out there on exit. Yes, he does.
So key position change there. And again, James, I mean, I don't think there's any question, as impressive a season as Aschenbach has had, it's that Panos that is the car in the team you talk with the great momentum right now.
It's been a tight championship because obviously they had to find their feet with the car in terms of performance, had a few mechanical issues in the early going, straightened all that out, and now it seems to be rock solid in every department.
I thought it was a change of position, and Courtney came right back and held on to it, so nice job by Jeff.
Maserati's a good car.
Watch it here.
Yeah, just watch the lock up there. James goes to the right side of him, but you know, Courtney really can't just disappear. He floats out wide, and this allows Staveley to have a little run at both of them.
The pressure from James has forced Courtney right up onto the back now of Nate Stacey.
Stay calm.
Yep.
So a big transition to this came in for Nate Stacey this year. And he's really had Terry Borchello work well with him, but look at the run that Courtney has right now. Stacey gets a little bit defensive. He's entitled to make that move first. Like Courtney's got the inside line. Can Nate try and swing around the outside like Baptista did on the opening lap?
It's ABS versus non. What works?
Yeah, Stacey may just get it.
If he stays put, he's got the inside.
Yeah. You got it.
But if Courtney stays put, he's got the inside. That's just kind of how this is. And he did.
Beautiful racing.
Yeah.
Some quality racing there. He sticks it down the inside and takes advantage. Nothing that Stacey could really do running side by side. Eventually it just opened the door for Ian James, who has to eat a little bit of that curve through turn 4 there.
And Staveley says hello. And James through. And you get kind of moved offline like that just a little bit, and somebody else pops down the inside. As you said, you're kind of a sitting duck.
Yeah, nothing you could do. You're fighting out in your own battle, and you're always vulnerable to that sort of thing happening on you. But just great racing. Yeah, just good, clean, hard racing, side by side. No rubbing.
Boy, once they got around Stacey, look how quickly Courtney and James have been able to build up about a 5-car length gap.
Yeah, Stacey seemed to really struggle there coming off of turn 6 and lost a bit of ground.
Well, you can sure tell where that Panos is on this track.
It's throaty.
Yeah. It sure is. And I mean, it's a neat sound because you got the power plant in the Maserati, also a V8, but it's just got that high-pitched scream, and then that throaty V8 right behind it. It's that's one of the things I love about sports car racing is a lot of different instruments in the orchestra, if you will.
Noodle versus a meatball.
Onto the front straight now, Staveley. Close enough. He might be able to get a little bit of help from Stacey down this straight. That's the battle for the 5th spot.
With some straightaway speeds here. Baptista 136, Barkey 134, Courtney the same, James 136, Staveley 134. So I think that's why the Ginetta is struggling a little bit in terms of making any more progress. A couple of miles an hour off even in the draft.
Lawson at a 133. That's why he just has no answer for Jensen right now. He's got a 136 in terms of that. He's got Kurtz behind him.
Yeah, and Kurtz is leading that GTSA category right now, coming off that double victory at Mid-Ohio. Got a new driver coach here this weekend. Colin Brown typically does it for him, but he's entered in a global rallycross event for Core Autosport this weekend. So they've got Dane Cameron, the current IMSA prototype champion, working with him this weekend.
Moderately talented.
Oh, bad sub.
Not bad at all. And I'll tell you, the guy that's behind Kurtz, I think, is one of the more motivated dudes in this class right now. That is Jason Bell in that black #2 Sin R1 GT4 from Racer's Edge. And he led this championship in GTSA early in the year. Remember, had that testing crash, had to revert to a competitor's crossbow for a few races, lost that lead. And he came in here, and he actually is also running in the Sprint X race as well. And so he's getting a lot of track time, and he's hungry. And he's always, I think, he says he really likes this track, too. So we're seeing a good run from him here.
Yeah, and that's a lot of work because those races are back-to-back, and very warm out there today.
The good news is he was the AM in a Pro-Am combination, so I'm sure he started the Sprint X race, got a little bit of a break. You can see here Lawson really closes up here with this Camaro, which is so good in the handling department and in the brakes.
He's literally working him over, but can't do much with it there through those final couple of corners. You can't run over the top of the guy.
Yep.
He holds the racing line. See Lawson, they're popping out. They're very close on temperatures here this weekend, Greg. A lot of teams really vulnerable and concerned. So as opposed to just pulling the draft, you can see there Lawson wanting to run in clean air. You typically would not be doing that.
Yeah. And that's all to do with thin air at elevation.
And it's all to do with the big picture of the championship. Rather than fighting out for one final position, let's just make sure, I get to the 50% mark, 25 minutes of this race. That's when you score points. So there'll be goals for Lawson Archambault today. One is getting a good clean start, getting to the halfway point, and then seeing how you can maximize your score on the day, even if it's not a good one.
Certainly good in that part of the track. Ooh, look at the attack now. Staveley all over the back of Stacy up front of this great battle. So we're starting to see a couple. Kurtz, Kurtz looked like he just locked up. He floated way wide. Look at the ground he lost. And Bell all over him. And that's the one thing with ABS. I mean, it isn't a panacea. You can't just, you get to the point where you're just too fast.
You're going to slip.
You're going to slip,
You just can't throw the anchors out and slow you down. There's a limit to what the tire can do. Even if it's not locking up, it's not just going to turn on you for you.
There's this great battle. Stacy in 5th, Staveley and the Janetta in 6th. To the Tuella turn. Deceptively quick corner, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. There's a little bit of an uphill climb there, which helps you out with the grip level, of course, versus downhill where you're going to lose grip. So some very subtle elevation changes that Alan Wilson, the track designer, built into this circuit.
I think one of the trickiest is that run into turn 1 because it falls away just a little bit to the apex. And when you turn in, you really don't see the apex.
That's right. Now it's very different when you get out there and get low down to where the drivers are sitting and look at that corner versus the high view that we look at from the camera.
Nate able to build a little bit of a margin, and Courtney has been able to open up just a slight gap over James, just a little over a second, but it's
did
a
that
lot
with
more
fast lap.
Yeah, did. Yes, he did.
That 2-minute flat, 0.15 is the fastest lap of the race so far, laid down by Jeff Courtney. That's half a second clear of Baptista's fastest. So you got to think about the team. Flying Lizard group will be giving Baptista that information. Maybe if he's got some grip left in these tires, but his main focus is managing this race because Barkey is not going the way. He has a bit more pace so far today than the Cayman in front of him, so this victory is not going to come easy for Baptista. He swept at Lime Rock. Brilliant performance there.
I tell you, Barkey has had poles this year, just hasn't been able to put together that result. And the one thing is he's a pretty quick study, and he's got some great coaching and knowledge in that team. And I think Barkey, he's learned now, I can't, with this extra weight, I can't just go out really hard and tear these tires up. I need to save a little bit more maybe than I used to when the car was lighter. But if I do, it's going to be still an effective weapon near the end of this race. And he's closing it up, and I wonder if also the team's telling him, Jeff just went purple. He's quick.
Yeah, he's coming behind you. This could be a battle between 4 cars here for the lead in a moment. Because both Ian James with the Pinos Avezzano and Courtney are certainly showing good pace here. The key question is Baptista managing, or is he given as much as he has right now?
Exactly. And Jensen continues to lead in the GTSA category, 7th overall in the 47 NOLA Sport Porsche GT4 Club Sport. Having a nice run, just in front of Lawson Aschenbach. Kurtz is 2nd, right behind Aschenbach in the 04 CrowdStrike GMG McLaren. Bell in the number 2 is 3rd. And Clennon in the 62 continues his march toward the front. And the Tenderbelly McLaren now sits in the 4th spot.
Baptista just hitting his marks. That crossbow looks really solid as well. Both teams done a nice job, and Barkey's getting to that point where he's going to start to probe. You can see Baptista there. He needs to change line and stick to it, because you're going to get a call on that from the driver's stooge. You can't move to the inside to protect and then move back on the ideal line. You've got to be allowed one move, essentially. You can't be reacting. James is really close to Courtney as well. The battle for third is heating up right behind these two.
What do they say? It's getting curiouser and curiouser?
Yeah, Courtney protects. Oh, look at that, Bucky, really close to the inside.
Ooh, wide goes.
I think that crossbow's got more grip and better handling at this stage of the game, despite its increase in weight since the last couple of rounds in the championship.
Watch this here. Another look at it.
Well, he had the run, but Baptista just floats out wide, and Martin realizes he doesn't have the right line there to just poke it down the inside. That was going to end up in disaster the way that they were approaching that corner.
Yep. So smart racecraft in terms of Baptista knowing that he could make that work around the outside, and Markey knowing that the best move was to give it up and live to fight another lap. But boy, he is close again onto this front straight.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, his car looks better, Greg.
Yes,
He's just able to hold this line. He's able to tighten things up. Baptista's having to float that Cayman and use every inch of the road to maintain the lap time. You'd have to think that Parky could get stronger as this race progresses if he keeps it right there.
It's Chris Beaufet. Problem, that's the team car to the number 2. And there may be a damage on the right front there.
Possibly. Just got the wheel turned. Yeah, there's actually damage to it.
We'll have to see where. Full course caution. I was just going to say I wasn't sure where it was, but it looked like it might be the attitudes, and apparently it was, and that's not a spot you want to have a problem.
Be a big break for Baptiste to give those Pirellis a chance to cool off a little bit, reset.
And it brings Stacy and Staveley, who had drifted backward to the tune of some 5 seconds from James.
This could get tasty.
Yes, it could. Clennon's going to benefit. He was within 5 seconds of Bell. So interesting to see what happens here. But one would hope this will be a very quick extraction, if you will. You can see the car, yeah, right. And if something goes wrong, you're coming out of that very fast corner witchcraft up into the attitudes, and he sits there, and that's a spot. Oh, now he gets it going. He's moving, but the question is the damage, if any. Huh.
He just went for a ride there and couldn't get life back in the motor. I think a lot of dust. Looked like he went for a big off there, maybe in a battle. It's high speed through there, Greg. You're going to go for a ride.
So he was able to get it restarted at least. So, and of course, we were kind of mulling over, was Baptista, saving a little something, or was he absolute flat chat? Well, Jeff Lepper's down in the Flying Lizard pits. Jeff?
Yeah, I spoke with Darren Law, and he said Rigo was pushing as quickly as he could, so they were kind of clapping when they got that yellow flag, knowing that this may help them all race long.
That's what you were talking about, Cal, as it gives him a chance to cool off some probably pretty abused tires at this point.
Yeah, but it's not exactly a 5-minute dash to the finish. We've still got 29 minutes on the board, so it may settle down for a bit. But again, he's going to feel some heat from behind, and then trying to control the heat within the car as well. Impressive for these youngsters to come to a new circuit and be so impressive, Greg, with a pole position. It just seems like, I don't know what it is, it's just a different attitude, I think, as we see the 45 now on pit lane. The youngsters, just with sims and everything, seem to develop quicker. Jeff?
Well, Chris Buffet brings the 45 Sen R1 right here on pit lane. Crew talking to him. They're just checking over everything, making sure nothing's rubbing, nothing's hanging off the car as they got him extracted there. The team talking to him. They're having some radio problems, so they're trying to communicate through the window. And well, should be not lose a lap, be able to get right back underway.
And that's what we certainly hope to have happen here, and see that car get back out on track. And he's already lost a lap Well, he was sitting there, I think, possibly, because he was down the order a little bit.
Yeah, he was stranded on track for quite a ways, so
Yeah.
even if this is a relatively quick pit stop, he's already gone down 1.
You can see John Maraki of Racer's Edge off to the left with the colorful shirt. As his crew is in consult with Chris. Absolutely gorgeous car.
Oh, that's pretty.
Lights are out on the pace car, so we're looking to go green this time. Just want to make a quick mention. We were talking about Ian James and that Panos, that they've got a really nice program with a special charity called Hometown Heroes Racing. It's a foundation that's set up by Michael Murphy, who's based in New York, and it's to honor and promote the actions of fire, EMS, police, and all military personnel across the nation. And that's something very special indeed. I was going to mention about Martin Barkey. He's got a chance at reclaiming second in the championship this weekend too, that James had taken from him. But he was doing some training. He's riding a motocross bike, had a little bit of an off, and dinged up an arm pretty good. Actually was in the hospital, and he snuck out of the hospital so he could get out and get here and race. So, you know.
That training and working out, that can hurt you.
Oh boy, I'll tell you. How often do we hear that?
Yeah.
He's missing
Motor
an
racing
event.
is dangerous. Working out is more dangerous sometimes.
So he misses an event because of a training injury.
It's happened many times.
It has. All right, here we go. Into the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone. The Cadillac ATS VR pace car and safety car in pit lane, and Baptista leads him to the line.
Staveley a jump there on Nate Stacey to battle for 5th.
Look at Courtney, close enough here.
Nice thing for Baptista, I think he realized on a dyno run like this is down this front straightaway, I think he's got the advantage just over the crossbow, doesn't have to defend. If it was someone different like McLaren or maybe even the Maserati, he'd have to be in a different position there. Just hit his marks, trying to get the gap. Look at this. Staveley, a nice run there to the inside of Nate Stacey. They now go side by side through 2. The Ginetta looks like he may have got the position. He does.
Yep, but he closes it, and unfortunately for Aschenbach, Kurtz got him on the restart, and that shoves Lawson back another spot here.
Well, the McLarens are certainly strong on the straightaway, so not much Lawson could do that on the drag race to turn 1. Now pokes out everyone. Look at these side. Jensen deep on the brakes, deep to the inside. There's going to be potential touch right there. The 2 Porsches side by side. Keith Jensen looking for position on Nate Stacey.
Boy, and that was nice. Stacey saw it coming, gave him a little bit of room. Now Nate down to the inside into turn number 6, and Jensen going to try and stay with him right around the outside. This is good stuff.
It is, and Kurtz could take advantage even though it's not a battle. Yes, it is. Obviously, with Jensen, is a battle for position in class. Yep. So they're now running line astern there between Jensen.
See that? There was a touch.
There was.
Lawson trying to do something. Thought he had a little more room on Nate.
He's got to be careful.
Yeah.
It's past the 25-minute mark, Greg, so we'll get points here today, whatever happens. Now is the question of how many as he totally dirt tracks that car through Clubhouse.
Well, and the thing is, too, he's looking up in the mirror and he sees a very fast McLaren, a very quick Sin R1 in his mirrors. And as you said, you know, they get scored on overall finish.
It's not an enviable position for a championship leader right now in terms of managing this. Give you some mind games to work with. Is he really wide on this front straightaway? Picks up a little bit of grip as you exit that corner, so even though you think you're going to run right off the racetrack gives you a little bit of grip back on the exit of the final corner.
Well, it's interesting here too that last corner, what they call release, actually has some banking to it, so it gives you options in how you drive it, doesn't it?
It certainly does. We saw that certainly during the GT race just a short while ago in terms of protecting that inside line. Bowl that you kind of dive into there for that final corner. Love this run through here, through 4 down into the Black Rock hairpin.
Yeah. Ooh, Barkey showing the nose, wasn't close enough.
Courtney protecting there at the inside, doing a nice job. No lock up this time on that Maserati. Trouble is when you get that first lock up, you get a little flat spot as Barkey's still working over our leader, Baptista. Baptista's going to have to work some magic here to hang on to this one.
Wonder if that caution maybe gave Barkey a little chance to, whoops, little contretemps here. That's the number 7 of Carter Young. making his debut in this series in the Global Motorsports Group. Porsche in the GTSA category.
Spoke to Neville Gas about this young man yesterday and said he's really, oh, there's another car involved there. Maybe one of the Alexandritas possibly.
I think it may have been. They were racing each other pretty solidly. But I was going to say, I wonder if this, you know, maybe gave Martin, if his arm's bugging him a little bit. You know, that caution gave him a chance to refresh that too.
Yep.
In the clubhouse.
On the back of the picture, it looks like Kurtz has gone around Jensen. Pretty sure I saw the McLaren lead in the little pack back there. I'll have to wait and see when they come into frame when we get to the stripe. Yeah, there it is.
And Stacy got back around Jensen.
Jensen has dropped a couple of spots on this lap.
There it
Kurtz
is.
now got the lead in GTSA.
Boy, I tell you, he is having just a mega middle part of this championship right now. You take a look at what he's put together in these last few races. 4 straight. This would be a 5th straight win.
That's straightaway speed. Look at the gap he just pulled. And the reason is he's 7 miles an hour quicker than the guy in front of him.
Yeah.
6 miles an hour quicker than the guy behind him.
Now Lawson under attack from the GTSA number 2 of Bell. And Clennon is dropping spots a little bit. I wonder if that paddle shift issue has cropped back up again, because he moved up quickly, and now he's really off pace by the tune of 2-3 seconds.
Gaggle up there in the Black Rock hairpin battle for the lead between Baptista and Barkey, then Courtney James Staveley cover those with a handkerchief.
Yeah, here we go. Baptista, Barkey, then a little gap to Courtney. Love this piece of racetrack.
Yeah, great rhythm.
Yeah,
I like it when you flow through one of those corners. Reminds me a little bit of the approach to Indianapolis at Le Mans.
Yeah.
Come through that fast sweep there, but it gives you a name to the ability to set up for the lap.
That second group, Courtney, James, and Staveley, exceptionally close at this point.
Just settling down right now. Too many fireworks going on. I think last 10 minutes, I think it's going to get a little bit more cut and thrust.
Oh, I would think. And like you said, that caution wasn't exactly a long one. So you still have to be a little bit mindful here, one of engine heat and the tire deg. This track has proven to be a little bit more abrasive than some of the teams have thought, hasn't it?
It really has, and it's been quite surprising. Talking to the teams, they said, well, we thought it would rubber in, but it really hasn't taken that kind of context. It's like it's scrubbing the Pirelli rubber off, but leaving it just in marble form rather than just sort of blackening the surface like you'd expect. You see some of it there through turn 1, but not to the extent that the drivers were hoping for.
Turn 2. Real flowing section of this track. And then you come up to this kink, which is suddenly kind of angular. They call it scream, and I've often thought that's because what you're doing inside your helmet. Yeah.
Baptista defending big time, takes the middle of the road. Watch this. Barkey setting up for the late cut in, the late turn in, getting on the power early. Coming off of the hairpin. What can he do on the approach to 6?
Look at Staveley getting around on the outside of James as well, but it'll put him on the wrong side. But that looked to me like it was a fairly late move by Baptista to defend. He's got to be careful about that.
Yeah, Barkey just got to realize if there's not enough room or the run to that corner, don't waste your time there. Just think about the next possible angle of attack.
Yeah, Barkey's definitely got pace. It's the number 2 of Bell and Jensen. Looks like Bell's got damage to the left rear of that car.
Look at Jensen's right.
Yeah.
Completely adrift from the upright. It's back inside the fender right now, but just a moment ago it was outside of it.
Yeah.
They were right around Oschenbach. Oschenbach was the meat in that sandwich just a moment
were.
ago. So
that's the exit of 6. And we're full course yellow.
There's Oschenbach. He's slow.
Wow, that's interesting. That happened. It looked like well in front of him. Unless there was some other contact earlier.
Contact earlier with Oschenbach. he was slowed dramatically. Fortunately for Oshima, as we mentioned, he's got past the point where you don't get scored in terms of points.
Yep.
But for Ian James, he'll get that news. And I know it's a long shot, but
yeah, hey, you never give up.
Every point counts in terms of him being second in the championship chase, 80-odd points behind. But
boy, and this keeps playing, I think, right into Rodrigo Baptista's hands too, because every time you get into 3-4 laps in, and you can see Barkey really comes alive, and Baptista then gets a caution, and it helps him out. Yeah, something's not right with Lawson.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's temperature related. Oh no, it's not temperature. It's left rear. Temperature in the left rear.
Yeah. It's cooked.
Yeah, I just saw him suddenly slow, and I thought maybe it's temperature related, like a fail-safe mode in the motor or something that he'd gotten into.
These Black Dog guys are about as good as it gets in terms of crew work. See how quick they can get this taken care of. And again, it's a caution, so if they get it changed fairly quick, you can at least stay on the lead lap. Let's get down to Jeff.
Yeah, Lawson Aschenbach brings in his championship-leading Camaro. You see the damage here to the left rear. The tire really peeled over the wheel, and no center locking nuts on these cars. There's 5 lug nuts they got to pull off. Pulls that wheel off, puts in a brand new forge line, probably P0 on the back of this Camaro. He should be getting back underway. It doesn't look like there's any damage underneath, but devastating points day for Lawson Aschenbach.
I wonder if he slowed with that, Jeff, and then that's how Jensen and Bell got closer together, and then they ended up having contact just a couple of corners further down the road.
That's a good point, yeah.
Savvy enough to just bring it back very, very slowly.
Yep.
He's going to stay on the lead lap, which is the good news.
Yeah, this is a salvage points day. There's the damage to Jensen. Boy, he has showed such speed. When he ran at Road America, he was so fast. If you remember, he got caught up in a turn 1 incident and ended up with a Janetta diffuser in the front end jammed up in the car. And then next race he came back and had a really strong run, but apparently that damage on that left rear, I saw the damage but I couldn't see how extensive it was. Apparently it's bad enough that that car's not going to move at all without getting lifted up. This is going to turn this into a shootout at the end.
Yeah. And it's unusual for GTS competition. We have so many races that go flag to flag green.
So just heard a report from race control. They said the incident between car 4, 7, and 2, there's no mention of 10. So, like you said, maybe Lawson getting the flat allowed these two to somehow get close together. But I'm impressed though with this guy's speed. Unfortunate luck sometimes apparently, but.
Yeah, it'd be a great addition to the championship on a full-time basis. Seems to fit in at the mix really well. Really strong qualifying run.
Yeah, he was impressive. Well, let's see if we can get a further update on Lawson Aschenbach from Jeff.
Spoke with Ray Sorensen at Black Dog Speed Shop and said simply they just had a flat, nothing with the incident. He stayed out of trouble there, and just he felt the tire going down a little while ago, and they thought that it might have been something else, just the handling gone off, but it definitely was a flat for the P0 tire.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the drivers' meeting, the stewards talked about the back edge of these curbs. There's big holes where it's just getting dug out and the like, and you just catch it wrong, it can cut a tire down, and you're in a cut and thrust moment, run a little wide somewhere, and it's racing in the desert.
Yep. They got a little bit quicker, but now Lawson, he's going to keep digging.
Oh, yeah.
12th position right now. Wouldn't surprise me to see him get back up inside that top 10, which is not going to be far adrift from where he was actually running.
Yeah.
In the early part of the going. So caught a little bit of a break with this race going yellow right now. The little breaks you need. It's not as critical with a massive points lead that he has in the championship, but if the points were tighter, this would be a huge break.
Huge. And you know what the interesting thing is, since we now know that there was absolutely no relation between Lawson's issue and the 2 and the 47, the fact that he had a flat tire and then those two guys wrecked and a caution came out, that could have been a lap right there. So, I mean, I wouldn't say it's going Lawson's way, but it could have been worse. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Tony Gaples does what Tony does, and he has worked his way up now into 11th from dead last on the field. And you know, obviously he's the same car that Lawson's dealing with. And Tony was able to obviously moved up a little bit on the first start and then got a great restart. It'll be interesting to see now. I'm sure when Lawson comes up behind him, Tony will just salute him and usher him through nice and clean to let Lawson get as many points as possible. But thing is, Tony's
in that GTSA.
Second in that GTSA championship, so he may not, and he does own the team.
Yes.
So he may go, you know, you've got a big lead. I'm chasing.
Yeah. Push me.
Tuck in behind and
yeah,
exactly. Burn your motor down by pushing me. Yeah, exactly.
What a backdrop that is.
Isn't
Just amazing views around this place.
Yeah, the Ochre Mountains on the east side, the Stansburys.
Really see the elevation change there in the run up to the Attitudes.
When you're down at the corner station, the access road down at the bottom of the Attitudes, where they call it Bad Attitude, it's a pretty abrupt drop down that hill, and it's glorious to go there. If you're ever at this track in person, go there and watch, because the cars just literally just appear, oftentimes sideways through the Attitudes. It's really, really cool to watch back there.
I've been curious to talk to a lot of the European drivers who are driving here for the very first time, and I haven't heard anyone who say they don't enjoy running here. Yeah, they compare it a lot to VIR, just another great road course in North America. So getting some good reviews.
Yes. Apparently, it's just taken a while to get the number 2 of Jason Bell removed. So I think I just heard from race control that they're hoping that next lap we might be able to go green. Starting to see the cars starting to scrub a little bit here, trying to clean off those Pirelli P0s. And I think one of the reasons drivers like this track is that it's, I mean, just the layout here in the desert, the reference points. It's not an easy place, I don't think, and drivers love that kind of challenge and this kind of a view. I mean, this comes right out of a Western, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's got a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
It's got some hairpin corners, got some good braking zones where you can get some passing done, some high-speed challenging corners as well, elevation change. It's developed a little bit more character since when we first came here when it was originally built.
That's true, yeah. Remember one of the first few races I was ever at here, David Brabman, a practice session, spun it big time.
Got lost.
And just sat there. You could hear the engine was running, and I'm going, well, maybe something's wrong. He's on the radio. And so when I saw him afterwards, I asked him about it, and I said, were you talking on the radio? Did you have a problem? He goes, yeah, but not what you're probably thinking. He said, I didn't know which way to go because I didn't know. And he said, I didn't want to turn onto the track and end up turning the wrong way.
Wow.
And he had to have his team coach him back onto the track. I mean, it was, as you said, now some of the character of the track and the like, you get a little bit more of a read on it, but.
Call Siri.
Exactly. All right, everybody's packing up a little bit, so let's hope. Looks like we had one of the EV vehicles out there just doing a cleanup over in the Black Rock here. And here we go. Race control says lights out this time. So by the time they get around, Cal, probably what, 8 minutes to go in this one?
Yeah.
Thereabouts?
Shy of that, yeah. News is Scott Dollarhite, who's behind the wheel of that pace vehicle, is going to be seeing action.
That's right.
Next round of the championship at Coda. He's very excited to be back.
It's a beautiful Lotus.
Maybe he'll be pacing the field there, Greg.
I think he'd like that. Yeah, it's home for him, so they were able to put it all together. A look at Nate Stacy, who's been in the wars today, hasn't he?
Yeah, great start. Up to second. Flying Lizard 1-2 for a little bit there.
Right behind him, Mark Lennon and that tender belly McLaren. And again, I wonder if he's got the paddle shift. I did want to mention that his wife Jamie is very involved and created a company called Racing for Paws, which helps fundraise for other Humane Society pet rescues and animal rescues, and they've connected with a local one here called Perfect Paw Prints. And she says they're just an absolutely great company, and I said I'd give them a shout out if you live in the area. Take a look and maybe donate a little bit to Perfect Paw Prints and help with some of that work. And if you're wondering where in the country to maybe help out with the Humane Society or a local animal rescue, just look for Racing for Paws and they'll direct you to the right location. But that's 62 of Mark Clennon. But lights out. The Cadillac ATS VR safety car makes its move into pit lane, and about 7.5 minutes to go. Rodrigo Baptista in the Flying Lizard Porsche into the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone, and immediately able to open up that little bit of a gap. Here comes Kurtz on Staveley too, sorry.
Yeah, Kurtz got a great run there off that final corner. Barkey immediately takes the middle of the road attitude coming down here towards the first corner. I think that's just to try and be a little bit defensive and not have to react to anyone behind him. Look, Kurtz there, he's almost, I think he was thinking about having to go Ian James as well, but look at Staveley. Really nice run through turn one and takes that position back, does he?
And Courtney just got Barkey. What a move by Jeff. Went right around the outside of turn one, Cal.
That's a game changer.
Big.
Because Barkey, he's struggling here. I don't know if he's got some pickup on his tires after this caution, but he is struggling for grip compared to how he was in green flag conditions a little bit earlier.
You can see, look at the clag bouncing around as they run through that part of the track. He has to do, well, that was a defend, I think, on James, but his argument was I was looking at the inside of Courtney.
Yeah. Get those scrubbed off. Maybe he's got enough time to get back at Jeff Courtney, but I don't think he's going to have enough time to get to our leader. Big break for Baptista.
The question is, does Courtney, who does have fast lap in the race, so we know he's got pace, can he get to Baptista here?
One thing we know about Jeff Courtney, he's a very clean driver. We know about Baptista, he's very aggressive, so I don't think that lead will come early if he does catch him. Look at, Barkey's struggling. I think he just must have got pickup during this caution, Greg, and it's really cost him dearly here in the finishing stages of this race.
Immediately moves over, thinking James is going to have a little run. And look at this, as Clennon got by Stacy in the background. Stacy trying to get back around him, heading into clubhouse.
Well, Ian James thought he's going to have to jump around Courtney to get that final podium spot. Now he's got a different mix right in front of him. He's got to work out this dynamic. He hasn't really been that close to Barkey here today until this point.
When Barkey turned in to wind up, which is the second to last corner, real early, I think he anticipated James might try something.
Barkey may have got those tires scrubbed back up again.
Yeah.
As soon as he got through that final corner really well.
Look at the junk bouncing off of these cars.
Amazing. I saw it out there yesterday. Went for a ride around the track with Jack Baldwin.
Yeah.
Had my eyes closed. When we stopped, I saw a lot of clag.
Fall off. Yeah. Let's see, Barkey. Yeah, it does look to be
a little bit more pace again, but this has looked strong all day long.
Sure has.
Really worked well at getting that car balanced for a good long green flag run. A battle that he and Lawson put together at Mid-Ohio in the last round was just simply superb.
Wasn't it?
Oh, look at this. Jane cuts it tight. He slides down to the inside, looking for that inside line on Barkey. As Courtney fades a little bit back to this group. Baptista has created a big buffer at the front.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, I'm not sure Courtney's got the pace to do anything with Baptista. I think Barkey had, but the 9-9 crew just getting a message passed on to your driver, a little bit too aggressive in your defense.
Can't react. You got to be proactive. Pick your line. You can come off a corner. If you get bad momentum coming off a corner, you can change your line, but do it first.
Yep. James going to get to the inside, maybe down into clubhouse. He got the run. Barkey went to cover it, but James got the nose inside.
Wide. Yeah, he runs really wide, and Staveley's going to have a run on Barkey as well.
Barkey knew it was coming, but James had such a run. Barkey knew if I move again, that would be a complete block.
Nice job by Ian James.
Yeah, it was.
Just, you know, it's not all about just getting through the corner quick. Just get the position and hold the guy out there. That's what it's all about. So often you see guys pile down the inside, try and carry too much speed.
Yep.
Just once you got the guy after your flank and he can't turn in, just keep him there that run no matter road and then continue.
But I'll tell you, I feel for Martin Barkey because so many races this year, Cal. We've seen him with a pole. He's been fast. But in the race itself, usually it's just been due to the BOP and the fact that the car doesn't race well. He's faded a little bit here. He must have had something with junk on the tires, and he's fading again. And he easily, in 2 laps, would catch Baptista.
Yeah, he's going to be frustrated with this one because something went adrift since this caution. That's all we can assume is that you got some pickup on the tires. And sometimes you can just be there and you're just in your own zone. You really got to be thinking all of the time. Crew's got to be talking to you.
Yep.
You know, keep those tires cleaned off. It's not so much temperature related in terms of keeping them hot, just keep them clean.
By the way, in the GTSA category, Kurtz leads, but Clennon has gone around Stacy and has closed up with a 1.5 seconds of Kurtz. Those 2 McLaren, Stacy there, and then Frank Gannett in the team number 24 to Staveley, who's very much an amateur and a newcomer to racing, is having a superb run, sitting 3rd in the GTSA category right now, the 2nd of those 2 Ginettas.
That's awesome. And as you said, the 2 Black Dog Camaros have switched positions, Aschenbach up to 10th overall, 7th in the pro category.
We anticipate white flag for Baptista this time by.
Can Ian James do anything with Jeff Courtney in the Maserati right in front of him? He says a long shot. It's an extremely long shot, but he's got to keep fighting. Strange things happen in motor racing.
And here we go, last turn.
With that, we're relating to the championship positions, of course, with Lawson's massive lead, and Ian James running in the 2nd spot.
There's your group top 5 sliced through.
Oh, look at that battle there off the final corner.
That was Gannett picking up 2nd in GTSA.
Yeah, he is moving.
He is flying, and here comes, that got Clennon a little offline and gave Aschenbach a little hope. And right now, Clennon clearly does not have the same straight line speed that Kurtz has.
No.
So I wonder if something's just not quite the same there.
They're 141, Clennon 132.
Yeah,
so massive delta. And again, there could be some heat-related issues here today, Greg. Everyone was very vulnerable to when you're running in traffic, getting the engine overheated is not going to perform nowhere near the same level.
Yeah, or like I said, has that paddle shift thing come up again, and
yeah.
So now Lawson, he badly wants to try and get around Frank Gannett, get 8th place points at this opportunity. Look at this, Courtney's closing in just a little bit. Not a lot, but he's closing.
Baptista shuffled back a little bit. He only lost a couple of tenths on the last lap across the stripe, but maybe he's just managing things, not pushing it, just hitting his marks. Jim Bell, so much experience on the radio talking to him, and the engineer, they were flying Lizard Motorsports. Last round of this championship, the first time we haven't seen a sweep of the GTS weekends. It was split between Aschenbach and Ian James, but Baptista right now.
Into the, sorry, Cal, last couple of turns here. Courtney just not close enough. He's got a little bit of a gap over James, so Baptista can just hit his marks. Can Staveley do anything with Barkey in the back? We'll watch that. But onto the front straight, going for his 3rd win of the year. Flying Lizard and Porsche win at Utah Motorsports campus. Courtney 2nd for Maserati. James, another podium in the Avezzano GT, and Barkey just hanging on over Drew Staveley. And Kurtz winning at GTSA. Stacy next by Frank Gannett. What a story. 2nd in GTSA, and Lawson Aschenbach back in 9th, with Clennon hanging on for a podium at GTSA in 10th. Tony Gaples just missing it in the number 11 Black Dog Camaro in the 11th spot overall.
Great drive by Baptista.
Absolutely.
Pole position. Nice first corner. Just flew through there and just took that line, attacked it. Defended well, not too aggressive, right on the fine line there of getting the attention of the driver's stewards, but totally legit.
Yep. And then I think those cautions helped him, because right when somebody would start to find the pace and run him down and get a caution, let him cool the tires, and then obviously Courtney getting around Barkey And clearly something went off on Barkey's tires or something, and Rodrigo just absolutely then managed it beautifully, didn't he?
He did. I was talking to him and his manager this morning, and standing there looking at Rodrigo, I'm like, you remind me of someone that came to Montoya. He has a very similar look, very similar demeanor when JPM first started racing over here, and doesn't say much, but you can tell the intensity and the talent is certainly there.
Let results do the talking. And,
long road ahead, but
you know, that's a good point, because he does have that familiarity, and the minute you said JPM, it made total sense. And another great run by Jeff Courtney. And we got that. He'll start on pole tomorrow.
I love it. He's a cool guy.
He is.
And among some of these youngsters and really experienced guys like Ian James around him, and really holding his own this year, doing an amazing job with his team.
The interesting thing was, we talked about this earlier in the year. He had almost decided I'm done, and then got reminded about the passion and the love for it. We saw at Lime Rock that passion is fully ignited again, and he's just and he's such a nice guy to have in the paddock as well. Always, hey, what do you know? Let's chat. What do you need?
It's a fun class, such a great mix, different dynamics of cars. Drivers in terms of where they're going with their career, whether they're in their sweet and happy spot, just what they're doing.
Right. And this group heading down and making their way toward, of course, first Jeff Lepper and then Victory Circle. Rodrigo Baptista brings it in, hits the best marks of all, the one where you get to stop and have that interview. Just want to remind everybody with our global webcast here that we have another race, a different series is here, and then we'll be back around 5 o'clock for the second of the touring car races, and that's going to be insanely fun and exciting if the first race was any indication at all, so don't wander too far away here.
Big news is that Lawson Oceanback's lead has been trimmed to 77 points.
What? There's that boundless optimism of the guy.
Saying there's a chance.
The guy always chasing. Unbelievable. So as soon as Rodrigo gets those gloves and that helmet off, we'll be ready to have a chat with Jeff Lepper and a sweep at Lime Rock, and then gets his third win. Jeff?
Yeah, down here getting the helmet off, taking the Hans off, pulling the headstock off, and grab that Pirelli hat and throw that on here for your third win of the year so far. Pure domination here today.
It was really good. The car was perfect, but Barkey was behind me really fast. But I did my maximum there, and we win. Yeah.
Talked with Darren Law a little bit earlier, and he said you were pushing as hard as you could at the beginning there. That yellow flag really helped you out.
Yeah, it helped me because the Maserati was behind the KTM, and I know the Maserati is faster than the KTM in this race, so I pushed my maximum, so yeah.
Well, Rodrigo Baptista, a little bit out of breath here, but first place here today.
I think that kind of points out just how hard he was pushing here to be breathing. You know, I mean, it's a work. I didn't remember we're at altitude here, too, so.
Yeah, he's a young, fit guy. These guys are athletes, and even for a youngster, this is a tough workout, despite getting a couple of resets with the cautions.
Right, exactly. So here's a look at our unofficial results. Baptista, Courtney, and James on the podium. And again, Ian James, that team just seems to have momentum right now. Barkey, really interested to find out what happened after that last caution, because you could just see he was struggling a little bit. And then 6th overall, George Kurtz gets his 5th straight win in GTSA, is expanding that point lead. And our segue is going to be beautiful, because that's where Jeff is.
Well, you know, 5 straight wins, 6. You need a second hand to count the wins now, but congratulations on your win today.
Well, thanks. Congratulations to GMG and CrowdStrike team. They gave me a great car, and it was a great race. You know, we got a little bit lucky on the restarts, and we just kept our head in the game and kept chipping away, and we were there for the end.
Tell us about your pace on the race. You know, marred back a little bit, working your way up. What was the race like here at this altitude and with this car?
Yeah, well, it's always difficult in the heat of the afternoon. It's slippery out there. There's a lot of marbles from the first race, and you know, we just wanted to stay in the game and be able to be in striking distance, and we were able to do that. And really great win. The car was great, and you know, overall looking forward to tomorrow.
Well, CrowdStrike, striking distance. No pun intended there from George Kurtz, your race winner here today.
I like it.
I do too.
I'll be in his next one.
Yeah, he's just had a remarkable season, and Jeff's right. This is his 5th straight win, but he got another one earlier in the year. So struggled at the start and was behind the order a little bit, and has just absolutely come on form, and now expands the point lead he had coming in here. And
16 points is up to now, Greg.
And that's pretty remarkable. And I do think a great story is Frank Gannett with that 2nd in GTSA. Again, just having had the opportunity to visit with him a little bit at Road America, the only other race that this team has run with these cars, and just great to see what he's done here in a short time. And then Mark Lennon with the podium, so in GTSA. So going to wrap things up here. Again, we've got a little bit of a pause on our webcast, and we're going to be back with you at 5. That's Mountain Time here, so you do the math for wherever you are, and it will be round 2 here. It'll be round 8 of the Pirelli World Challenge Touring Car Championship. And if you watched that race earlier today, you're not going to want to miss it. It was awesome. We'll see you then.